Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for September 23rd, 2024. Well, hey guys, it's good to be back home. I had a great trip. Bear with me here this morning because my head has been someplace else for a few days. Let's see if we can see how this market could be setting up for today. First off, let's take a look at what happened overnight. Asian markets last night mixed, but mostly higher. Australia was up. Australia was down last night. We had the Nikkei having the best day, up 1.53% or $568. Hong Kong was down last night, and Shanghai was up a little bit less than 0.5%, up $12.10. Still struggling heavily under that very key 3,000 level in China. If we take a look at our European markets, however, the other direction, mostly lower, with the DAX up just 0.5%. FTSE is down 0.10%, and the CAC down 0.31% after PMI numbers out of France and Germany really disappointed in a downturn, and it looks like Europe is really slipping into some economic challenges and I think likely recession. If we take a look at U.S. futures, however, boy, we are still all kinds of bullish after the rate cut, trying to pump in the pre-market to get things going here. And Dow is up 26 points or 0.06%. S&P 500 futures up 10 points at 0.17%. NASDAQ futures up 52.25 points, up 0.26%. Trying to add on to the run that we had last week. Now, if we take a look at other places here in the market, well, if we take a look at oil this morning, well, oil continuing to try and show bullishness after that rate cut, really helping out here, even though we have that demand destruction here in the market. You'll notice we still have this downtrend in here that will need to break through. We popped up there, caught that resistance, but right now this morning we have oil up. It is up 28 cents a barrel at 71.28 a barrel. And Brent is up 74.71 a barrel. But again, I'd keep an eye on that downtrend, keep an eye on this price resistance in here in the chart as we are trying to push up. Natural gas is still moving up just a little bit after that big surge on Friday, up well, not quite half a cent this morning. Trying to push on higher here, so watch that carefully. We've got a big resistance coming up in the chart, but UNG starting to look pretty good here, coming up in a pattern. It is in its rounded bottom breakup pattern. Let's take a look at our precious metals here this morning. Gold is trying to move on higher after that big gap on Friday and run to the upside here. Gold pushing up right now. Actually, we're up about 60 cents an ounce at the moment in the gold futures, trying to hold in there. But we have other precious metals, silver, moving lower here this morning, copper's down, platinum's down, and palladium still pulling back after that amazing run to the upside, and actually could come into some price support and a potential buy point here on palladium. Keep an eye on that. If we take a look at bonds here this morning, our bonds not really moving around a whole lot, but the 2-year bond is at 3.57%. The 10-year bond is 3.75%, and the 30-year bond is at 4.09%. So we've kind of moved back up here just a little bit in some of those bonds. But we no longer have that inversion going on here in the market. Remember, inversions typically mean we're going to head into recession, and we had one of the longest bond inversions in history, and I still believe there's likely a recession on the way. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, if we take a look at crypto markets here this morning, well, Bitcoin trying to move higher here this morning, up $465 a coin, looking good, trying to break that down trend here. If you look at the BITO ETF, pushing on through, and if it can break through that 50, could become a roundabout a breakout pattern here. So Bitcoin trying to come back around here off these lows in the market. Ether is also up this morning, $73 a coin, but we do have others down, like Litecoin is down just slightly today. So what does all that mean for today? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Monday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a look at these charts. Once again, we want to look at these charts without a bias. We want to look at them for what they are, not for what we want them to be, and take a look at the possibilities that we have here in these charts. First off, if we take a look at the diamonds, if the bulls can continue to find inspiration, well, really wouldn't be all that hard to see that possibility of popping through up there and having more record highs and blue skies above in the diamonds. However, it also would not be all that hard to see that we need a little bit of rest here in the market. And perhaps that rest could come in a couple different forms. It could come in a pullback if we do see the bearish activity pick up in here, maybe a break of this support here, and then a pull back in here to test this bigger breakout in the chart on the diamonds. The other possibility is that we just kind of consolidate here. We just rest up. We ran so hard, so fast, that maybe just a little bit of a rest up in here and consolidation out toward trend might be a possibility to be considering in the market. So don't be surprised if we see a little bit of light choppiness, even a little resting pullback here in the market as we try to progress forward. But one thing you got to say right at the moment, diamonds, extremely bullish chart. There's nothing in here that's bearish. If we take a look at the SPY, pushing through, made those new record highs, and also showing maybe just a little bit of need for a rest. But if those bulls can continue to find inspiration breaking through here, well, you know, we've got blue sky above. If we can break back through up there, every reason to believe that's possible. If the bears were to find inspiration, my suggestion is that possibility that we come back and we test this support area here in the chart, see if that's going to hold. If that were to fail, then I would suggest we start progressing back down, maybe coming back down into this trend area of the chart. But I also cannot rule out the possibility that we could just do a nice little resting consolidation. And one of the reasons I'm suggesting that possibility as strongly as I am is just the fact that we are in the end of the month, and the end of the month heading into the next round of earnings, you can commonly see some choppy price action and resting price action in here. So don't be too surprised if we just kind of chop along and rest out there toward the trend. If we take a look at our QQQ, now QQQ still has some work to do. We did break that downtrend here in the chart, and that is a good thing to see happen. But you'll notice we're also a long ways away from this little upside trend, and we're still underneath fairly significant price resistance in the chart. If those bulls can find that inspiration, then look for that possibility that they could push on through that right there. And then if we can, then we're looking to push right into this next area of resistance in the chart. Breaking through there, well, you can see we've got some resistance levels up here before we reach all-time highs. But if we can find that inspiration here today, that is certainly a possibility we could start making that move. Now, if the bears were to find inspiration today, notice we still have this potential little gap in here that could be filled. Maybe a push back down in here would be possible to test this area of price support in the chart. Certainly wouldn't rule out that possibility for that pullback. Now, if it were to break that area, I would look for maybe a comeback into that little support area of the chart. So watch carefully there. Now, once again, I really would take into account the possibility that we could just rest here. Remember, corporate buybacks are finished. We are finished with the rate decision here. We have concerns in Europe and China in their data showing potential risk of recessions. So watch that carefully. The possibility that we rest here seems to be pretty reasonably high to me for a little bit of consolidation. So watch carefully in here. Now, keeping in mind, breaking up through here, that's still a bullish chart. So we've got the diamond spy and QQQ looking bullish, although the QQQ has more work to do. And then if we look at our Russell IWM, nice push here in IWM. We're pushing back up here to retest this area in the chart that we struggled with before to see if we can break through up there. The question is, can we push on through? And if we can, let's see those bulls push up here, break through that resistance, and then start pushing on up. Now, what we'd be testing up here, this area up here, that line that I've got there, goes all the way back here to these tops, as you can see in 2021 and 2022. Breaking through there, of course, then we would try to stretch on higher and catch that all-time high here in the Russell. But if those bears were to find inspiration, well, you can see we've got a nice little price support here. Breaking down through there would likely push us back down into this area of price support. And I don't think that would be all that bad, pushing down there. Where we'd probably start raising a little bit of concern is if we broke lower than that support there and started coming back into some of these levels and that trend break to the upside as a possible support area. Now, once again, we have that situation here where we stretched really far, really fast. And if I were to take a trend line off of these two last lows in the chart, that would suggest the possibility of a longer term rest if we don't pull back or consolidate. And if we can't go higher up into here, then I would look for more of a longer term resting consolidation in that market on the on IWM. Wouldn't rule out that possibility as well. Now let's take a look at our VIX. Our VIX has pushed back, but what's interesting in that pushback is it still hasn't been able to break down through these lows. Something is out of sync here when we can't, we're hitting record highs and we can't seem to break out of that support level to the downside here on those bulls. Now, kind of keeping in mind, there's a little bit of a downtrend here that is formed up. So the question is, if those bulls can find inspiration, we really need to start popping down through here and breaking some of these support levels in the chart. Because if we continue to hold this area in here, if we can't break this down, then I would watch for that possibility that a little fear could come up in the market, push through that downtrend here. And remember, it's a higher low that creates a problem here in the market. Can't say that's going to be the case. As a matter of fact, what I would say, still the possibility that we just consolidate here for a few days, just resting up after that big run to the upside. So watch that carefully in the VIX. Our T2122 had a nice little pullback there on Friday, and boy, did it need it. we have been extremely overextended here in T2122. So keeping in mind, if the bulls were to find inspiration today, we've certainly opened up that opportunity with that little bit of selling that came into the market. But if the bears were to be inspired today, we still have substantial downside move that could come to relieve that overbought pressure here in the market. So watch carefully for those possibilities here in the chart. Our T2108, now T2108 zoomed right up here. We hit up here in those 70s levels here in T2108. And you can see in T2108, when we start reaching up here into those mid 70 areas, we are in a very extreme overbought situation in the market. Pushing off of this little resistance right in here gives us maybe that little possibility that that rest or consolidation will come into the market now and pull back, but I don't see anything bearish here. We've got good support levels underneath. Perhaps a little bit of rest, a little bit of pullback is due, but no particular worries here. And I'm going to say the same about the T2107. We pushed up here. Now this is a little bit more concerning because, as you can see, when we reach up here into these mid 65 areas, this is a very high stretch in T2107. Haven't quite made it there yet. We're running into some of that resistance right around 60. So we've got some more room to move to the upside if the bulls can find that inspiration. But at the same time, if we were to catch a little bit of a pullback in here, maybe a little rest, a little consolidation, wouldn't be a major surprise in that chart and wouldn't hurt us at all to have that little bit of rest. And then if we take a look at our T2101, this kind of surprised me that we continued to see that breadth really stretching here, but I'm guessing that rate cut brought a lot of outside money into the market, helping that breadth come up. But remember, we are in the blackout period here for stocks. Corporate buybacks can no longer occur in most of the stocks out there now, and we'll see that possibility of breadth declining. So watch carefully for that possibility if that breadth continues to decline and we keep trying to rally to the upside. We probably, it's not uncommon, this couple of week period here as we head toward that next round of earnings in the next month, and it's going to go more than a couple of weeks, but couple 3 weeks, maybe 4, where we can just have this choppy resting consolidation in the market. It's fairly common, but we'll see. We've got a lot of momentum here in the market, and the bulls are really excited, trying to push. We'll see if that momentum fade does start to come in here just a little bit as we wait for that next round of earnings. Now, one thing helping us out over the weekend is that they came to a bipartisan agreement to kick the can down the road here for the budget. So it looks like if they can get that passed here in the next few days and get it signed, that we will not have a government shutdown at the end of the month. And that relieves some of that worry or pressure here in the market as well. Let's take a look at some stocks. Well, first off, let's take a look at our economic calendar. Our economic calendar today, these are going to be maybe key areas to be paying attention to because the sensitivity of what happened in France, or what's happening in Europe over there in their manufacturing declines. But first off, we've got Bostic here today that will be or has spoken. Keep an eye on that. We have got Chicago Fed national activity. They're looking for that to come in at 0.0, but that would be an improvement over the negative 34. Watch that carefully. The PMI composite flash would be an interesting one, again, because of what happened in Europe yesterday. It might have a little sensitivity to it. They're looking for the composite to move to 53.0. That's a little bit of a decrease over the prior at 54.1. Keep an eye on that. But they're looking at the manufacturing index actually improving by half a point up to 48.7 or 48.5. And then the services index, they're looking for that to stay pretty flat. So keep an eye on this one today. This might be, even though it's not typically a market moving report, there may be some sensitivity around this today. So watch carefully there. And then we've got Goolsbee, we've got a treasury buyback announcement, we've got bond auctions and a Kashkari comments here this afternoon, so watch carefully for that. As we move throughout the week, just kind of keeping in mind some of the big things we've got coming. Case-Shiller, we've got a consumer confidence number coming in on Tuesday. Wednesday, we've got new home sales to be paying attention to. Petroleum status is normal. Thursday is where it could get interesting with a durable goods report, a GDP report, jobless claims. We've got Jerome Powell speaking with several other Fed speakers in here. So get ready for Thursday. That's probably going to be our day of anticipation. And then we're going to jump right into international trading goods. Personal incomes and outlays. That core PCE number, of course, is always an important number to be paying attention to. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar here for today, and we really don't have much going on. Pretty common for this time of the year, but I've only got one notable here for today, and that is AIR. AIR will be reporting after the bell today. That's the only notable that I can really come up with for today, and we're going to see a lot of that we're just really dwindling down on those earnings reports here. A little bit more on Wednesday, and as typically Thursday will be our biggest day of earnings this week. So watch carefully for those. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me that quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube. Also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find the video to be helpful, if you could do me that favor, just click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to continue to grow. Remember, even an emoji counts as engagement with the video. So I truly, truly appreciate that for everyone who takes the time to do it. Thank you once again for everyone who shares these videos out on your social media feed, and then also those folks that continue to support the channel through the Buy Me a Coffee link. You guys are truly awesome. Thank you so much for that kind support. Let's take a look at some of these stocks setting up. Remember, everyone, I've been gone on a trip. I haven't had all the time I would like to have had to really look through a lot of things. So as always, never ever blindly follow anyone else's trade ideas. Follow your rules, your guidelines, and remember that blindly following somebody's trade idea is always a bad idea. Follow your risk tolerances out there in the market. Let's take a look. A few places that I do think are kind of interesting here. First off, where we looked at energy, XLE, energy pushing up. I still have that major concern here running into this downtrend in the price resistance. I would watch this carefully, although we're trying to pop back up. Watch this carefully because we're seeing China, major problems in China. We're seeing major problems in Europe. And I think there is a demand destruction that is likely occurring here in the market. So watch carefully for that possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, that this could actually have been the entry for a short and we start moving energy back down in the chart. Where we're going to know it's going to be bullish is if we can break through that up here, hold that higher low, and then show that continuation to the upside. So be really careful here on the oil side of the market. Now, when we take a look at natural gas, a little bit different here. Natural gas is in that bullish pattern. We're in a rounded bottom breakout pattern here in UNG, and we're holding that nice little upside trend. Now, I do think that this stretch here, particularly on Friday, probably deserves a little rest or a little consolidation. So watch carefully for that possibility if that were to rest back toward this trend. But I'd be watching for that next opportunity for this to push on up toward that 200-day moving average. So keep an eye on natural gas. Looking pretty good here at the moment. You might also take a close look at oil. There we go. Oil coming up through that 50-day, just now starting to set up its around a bottom breakout. So as that pushes on through here, keep an eye on that. If that can come on around, we have that opportunity in here just to rest back, and then we've got a good upside potential coming potentially there if it can prove to hold that 50-day moving average. Let's take a look at a few other places here in the market, like our financials. XLF has been really pushing hard to come back up here and test that resistance in the chart. And we did, but we didn't do it with a whole lot of enthusiasm to break through that resistance up here. So the question that we have here on the financials, do we have the energy to break up through here, make those new highs, or will this turn into a double top? Be really, really careful here. There are some major concerns, and even though we're lowering rates, we're not seeing loan activity coming out of these banks. They're still struggling in here to loan money in this market. So be really, really careful here. We need to see that pop on through, then hold, then we've got an upside opportunity. But watch for that possibility that this could turn in to that double top pattern here in the financials. And one of the reasons, when we look at some of these big banks in here, BAC, although it's coming back up, boy, there isn't anything about that chart that really is impressive just yet. It did get through that 50-day moving average, but watch for that possibility that we could fade this right back down again with that double top here in BAC. Citibank got through that 50, but it's all on that enthusiasm here of that rate cut. That possibility that this could shift and start moving back down certainly looks like a possibility to me as we come into all of this resistance. So watch carefully here on some of those financials in the market. Let's take a look at the US dollar. The US dollar continuing to struggle in here. We tried to get strong and then we weakened up really fast here again. We're still moving in this overall downtrend here in the US dollar, and we've got substantial resistance levels above here to be paying attention to. I'm wondering if this is kind of setting up a little head and shoulders type pattern right here on the dollar, and that possibility that the dollar will soon begin to weaken again. Remember, when we raise rates, we typically we're going to see that dollar potentially run into some challenges here. So watch carefully. If it can pop through up here, then all of that weakness talk will go away. We've got a breakthrough up in here and prove to hold for that upside move, but keep an eye on that. Not looking so good when we start cutting rates. The dollar will typically weaken against other currencies, so watch carefully here. Now, with that going on, we still have to be continuing to pay attention to things like gold and silver. Gold, obviously, very, very bullish here right now. It's currently up $1.20 an ounce as I speak right now, pushing to the upside. But what I would say here on gold is this needs a little rest. It's zoomed to the upside. This thing needs a pullback. It needs a rest. I'm not saying it's going to get it, but it would need to come back and rest for me to add anything in here on this chart. So watch for that little rest and consolidation in here, that opportunity that this could go on higher. Remember, Morgan Stanley came out with that report with the suggestion that gold could easily make it to 3,000, and well, we're at $2,647 a coin, so we're well on our way for that. But I would look for a rest or pullback for that before I'd chase into that stock. Silver, on the other hand, silver looking like if it can hold this support, this break of this trend, hold this price support area in here on this chart. It's kind of a range in here. Rest a little bit, maybe come out here toward trend a little bit more, then I would be looking for that next opportunity in silver. So keep an eye on that. And palladium, taking a look at palladium, this pullback in here was definitely needed. Coming back into this price support in the chart, if it can rest in here, then I would look for that next opportunity there in that chart. And remember, if the dollar does fall, all commodities can potentially rise. So again, I talked about oil being a little bit of concern. If the dollar falls, I would look for that to rise. I would also look for things like, let's take a look at corn. Corn pulled back here just recently with that dollar strength, but it's holding in here on support, holding in here on its 50-day moving average. This could set up that rounded bottom breakout pattern here on corn, and keep an eye on that. Take a look at wheat. It's also doing the same thing. Soybeans, showing that possibility of that upside move if that dollar continues to weaken, certainly showing some bullish patterns. Other places in the market, take a look at PayPal. If I can get the right symbol. PayPal has been zooming up to the upside, needs a little rest right now. This is one I've been watching and I'm holding, so I've got a little bit of bias. I'm not holding a big position on this, but I'm just looking for this to kind of settle in, come back, look for that next opportunity to the upside. And the same thing here on SQ. Breaking that down trend, pushing on through, little rest, little pullback would set up an opportunity. Once again, if the financials start to fail, I would look for these to go south. But if those financials in the market can continue to hold, these are starting to come up and showing these nice bottoming patterns that might give us a bigger upside opportunity in some of those pay systems here in the market. So with that, everyone, hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. Thanks so much for being here and listening. I do truly appreciate it. I want to wish you all of the best today, and I'll see you right back here bright and early Tuesday morning. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.